All right, welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for stopping by to talk some more Mafia, the old country. I promise I'm not going to turn this into a Mafia only channel. I got a new episode of Collect Beat Repeat on the way for Sunday, but yeah, I know it's been a lot. The hour-long review, the ranking, and now just want to do a quick spoiler discussion with you all here. 30 minutes and I'm out your hair. Try to get under that 30-minute mark. I know I've been throwing a lot of long-form content at y'all, but listen, I just want to really talk about like a few specific things in regards to, I've been hearing a lot this term predictable for the game. And like, I don't even necessarily disagree with that term being applied to Mafia the Old Country. I think something though that like I left feeling after playing this game wasn't a feeling that I predicted to have after finishing the game. And I know that's a weird way of phrasing this, but I felt after finishing the old country, and obviously full spoilers, so go ahead and jump out of this if you do not want to be spoiled. When I finished the old country, I kind of felt like as a player, and obviously we don't get any control over what happens to Enzo, the fate of him and Isabella and his, his baby that she's pregnant with, but I kind of felt like a failure as playing as Enzo. Like, he just couldn't get anything done. It was just nonstop loss after nonstop loss. And it's not like a failure as in, he like some Homer Simpson kind of goofy. Like, they portray Enzo as this badass, as this, this dude who just, he's able to go in guns blazing. He's rational. He's smart. He's such a great main protagonist, but he just couldn't ever get it done. You know what I mean? Like, he could execute on the missions where no emotion was attached to it, but anytime emotion was attached to it, he didn't have that sociopathic gene in him that would allow him to execute when it came time to execute. And it's just, I don't know, I found that so fascinating. And like, that's definitely not like a predictable, I wouldn't have predicted that to be one of my main takeaways, to be looking at it as somewhat of a story about failure. And, diving into this life, and if you don't have that gene, if you don't have that sociopathic tendency about you, you're going out in a body bag. Luca went out in a body bag. He was very, very rational. He was one of the only people that were willing to go to the negotiation table and not immediately go to fucking, let's not escalate this into a war immediately. Let's try to negotiate. Let's try to rationalize. Let's try to, figure out some sort of terms that we can come to an agreement with. And he ends up getting killed. And it's that thing too where, and once again, I don't do a whole lot of scripting or anything. For anybody new here, I just kind of go off the top of the dome. So I apologize. Sometimes my thoughts aren't going to be in a clear line from beat this, then this happened, then that happened, and then, like, I don't know. I don't think that way. That's kind of boring to me. I just like to sit and ramble, as the name would suggest. So apologies there. But when you look at Luca getting killed, and it's at the christening, that's the Catholic term, right? The christening for the newborn baby, and they are Luca. So, well, at first it was someone from the Teresi family who gets killed at the christening of Luca's newborn child, and then that is what is it? Bastoni, I believe, was the guy who you're going and chasing down. He's the sniper. And that's the same dude that at the beginning of the game, you get into the fight with, and as Enzo, you're not able to finish it. Don Teresi pulls up, and he pretty much saves your life. He intervenes in that moment, and he brings you back as Enzo into the family, working, from the lower rung of the totem pole on up the ladder you go. But in that moment, you chase him down and you whoop his ass and everything, right? Bastoni, you whoop his ass. But at the end of the day, Enzo can't get it done, right? Luca has to come in. He blows Bastoni's brains out. He saves your life. Just as Don Teresi earlier saved your life. You couldn't get it done, you know? And then the next mission, Luca gets shot, has this fucking gaping wound, and you're trying to apply pressure to it. He bleeds out while looking you in the eyes. You couldn't save him after he just saved you. And he's looking you in the eyes, telling you to get out of this life, to get out of this family. And it's just this thing of constant inability to, your objective just feels like it's constantly fleeting as Enzo. You're not able to get it done. You're watching the people you love suffer, and it feels like you're unable to really do anything to prevent the suffering. And I love that fucking theme. I love that because it's kind of Last of Us 2 isms in there, but it's this weird separation where in The Last of Us 2 you grow to hate Ellie and Abby, and obviously that was intentional, but it's wild in Mafia the Old Country. You like everybody, Cesare, and we'll get into him. You like Cesare, you like fucking Enzo, you like Luca, you like even Don Teresi. Like, you really don't turn on him until well later in the game, because he saved you, right? He saved you from indentured servitude. So you have this love, this connection, this attachment to him. And then also with Don Teresi, I think it's so smart that they don't really reveal who he is and how dark he is, and like the true level of psychotic behavior that he can exhibit until way later in the game, right? And when he finds out that his daughter is pregnant with your child, and then he drops that line when you enter his office where he said, "I can wipe every trace of your blood from this earth." He said, "I have a doctor that can wipe every trace of your blood from this earth," which is like, that's like gut-wrenching. That's a gut-wrenching line. You got to think about, listen, man, you're talking about his daughter. He is saying against her will, he can make sure that an abortion takes place that will wipe your blood, which is also her unborn baby. Like, you can wipe that from the face of the earth and nobody will ever know about it. Like, just dark line. And his true nature really begins to show at that point, moving forward. And obviously you're right there at the end. But once again, in terms of failure to execute. So that then leads into the fight with Cesare. You should kill him at the end because he was about to kill you. You don't have it in you. You don't have that psychotic, sociopathic DNA in you to do it. So you don't, right? And what ends up happening? You're able to kill the Don. But then think about that too. Okay? Think about, like, Don Teresi is the dude that saved you. So the one person that Enzo in this, heat of the moment, and listen, Enzo killed a lot of people, but the one person with like that close attachment to him, because he loses, quite a few of these knife fights throughout the course of the game, or just isn't able to get the job done. Even if we look at Cesare as an example of not really being able to get it done there, he just didn't have it in him, right? He gets it done with Don Teresi. And that's the guy he owes everything to. So even in that moment of like, that is a soul crushing, even though you got it done, that's soul crushing. That's killing you to your core that you had to do that. That is the fucking grandfather of your, of your baby. And then, after you defeat him, you walk over to Cesare. He's standing there and he welcomes you with this warm embrace, right? Shit turns cold pretty quickly as the blood's leaving your body, with his knife being fucking drove into the side of your stomach, and that blood spilling out onto the ticket that he then goes and gives to Isabella to let her know, with not having to say a single word, that Enzo is dead. And it's just, man, like, I get goosebumps even thinking about it. Even the shot, the final shot, he's looking at the Empire burning in flames. He sees Tino has been checked off. He sees Enzo has been checked off. Don Teresi is checked off. Luca is checked off. This should all be Cesare's now. He killed you for the greed, and then he looks up at the burning empire and he's like, even he's left with some semblance of regret. Which it's not like he still will, theoretically would be in control in terms of the rank. I think he would still be the highest ranking officer on the team at that point. Whatever's left of the team, whatever's left of the empire, it's not much, but there's still land and territory that you're occupying and making money off of. So, but he's looking at the empire that he wanted that throne so badly. And he's watching it burn before his eyes, and he just killed what theoretically would probably be his best friend. Him and Enzo rode together, like, loyal to the soil. And so he just did that for this throne that he's watching crumble and turn into ash. And I don't know, man. I just thought that that was beautiful from an imagery standpoint to kind of close out the game. I thought that was so beautiful. It's like, you rooted for everyone the entire way. You rooted for this entire family. And it all turned to absolute shit. Like, it all turned to absolute shit. And thankfully you do, it wasn't so dark that Isabella and the baby weren't able to escape. But you weren't even able to see your newborn baby, take his first breath. It's fucking really heavy. Really, really heavy. And then the way that Tino goes out, with Isabella having to be the one to drive the final blow to Tino in that stealth section. Like, there's just a lot in there that I understand in terms of people calling it predictable early on, but I don't know. I didn't find that final hour or so to be predictable at all. That was a really, really wild ride. And even if, you want to say predictable in the sense of, okay, the main character dies. Okay, the Don dies. But just to be left with a feeling of dissatisfaction, a feeling of failure, but being able to recognize that feeling as an important lesson, I think is so valuable. When you're talking about this life of crime and you're talking about a world where you do not get to win unless you have that killer in you. And Enzo was, he was sold into a life of essentially slavery, and he's rescued by the guy that he has he gets the daughter pregnant, and he has to kill the father. And but he doesn't, it's not like he was bred to be this fucking killer. You know what I mean? He was rescued from a life of literal hell and was given a life that, is still not the greatest, but he would have given anything and everything to that family. And he did, over and over again, to the point, once again, if you want to just get to the granular detail, when Isabella told them that they should leave initially, they should have left initially. He went back and felt the loyalty, once again, not having that cold-blooded kind of instinctual sort of know of when to rip the Band-Aid off. He goes back and does that final mission for the Don because he feels that sense of loyalty. And also, obviously, he feels that sense of loyalty to Luca to get back at the Spadano family, right? But what should have happened is, as soon as fucking Isabella told him that she was pregnant, they should have got the fuck out of there and rode off into the sunset before there were more watchful eyes around every corner, before, people started kind of hearing things and picking up on details and picking up on sort of, I don't know, she never was really showing per se, but people started picking up on these different, maybe just even how much time they were spending together. So people started watching. People in the Teresi family started watching. And then you go and it's time to board the train. Not happening. You're completely fucking surrounded. And yeah, I just it's wild to think about and to look at this from the standpoint of like Enzo failed at every single corner. It was a lot of poor decision making, and even if it wasn't necessarily poor decision making, just not having whatever is it, an extra 10% of sociopathic tendencies or whatever it may be. He just didn't have it to get it done, and yeah, I don't know. It's that story was a lot more impressive than I think people are giving it credit for. And it's also, in terms of predictable, right? Like if you're thinking about predictable, and I'm not saying it's not per se, but like what are we comparing it to? You know what I mean? Like I guess that would be my question. When you say that this is predictable, what isn't? Would be my follow up. And if you can give me examples, like, and I'm not even saying this from like a combative, like, I don't give a shit. I'm not getting paid for, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't work on the game. But I just, in the game space, it's predictable compared to the game where you like fight God at the end, or compared to the game where you wake up and it's all a dream, or compared to the game where you fight the final moment with the bad guy and he tells you his whole backstory and he's actually not that bad of a guy. He's been brainwashed. Do you still kill him? Like, and I'm not, listen, I say that in a derogatory, dismissive manner, but I like that stuff. I like all that stuff. And I also like crime stories where you die at the end that are heavy and personal and deep and dark and emotional. And even if they don't, necessarily exceed or subvert my expectations, like, I don't think the main priority when writing a story should be subverting my expectations. It should be like meeting them. You know what I mean? Like I have this level of expectation for a story, how it should be told, this, that, and the other. But like, you don't necessarily need to subvert that. Just meet that bar. Here's the quality of story that I'm expecting. Can you hit that? Yes, then cool. Even if it is predictable, which I don't really necessarily feel that this is. At least my emotion after the game didn't feel predictable. I didn't feel, while going into this game, I didn't predict to feel that, by the end of the game, I'm going to feel like a failure as the player, because I wasn't able to get Enzo to that life of peace and that life of, normalcy that he was craving. And obviously we don't have a choice in the game, but like I still wouldn't have expected that level of just that feeling of failure after the game. So yeah, not to diminish or diss other games, but I do just have that, like, if this is predictable, then you got to give me a list of games that aren't. And I can, like, Plague Tale Requiem is a list that's at the top of my list of, like, yep, that is absolutely unpredictable. I would have never seen that ending coming, and it wrecked me to my core. But man, that's one of maybe like 10, 15 games ever that I can actually say that ending totally fucking surprised me, left my jaw on the floor. There's not many, man. There are not many at all. Yeah, so even like the greatest stories of all time, like The Last of Us, I don't necessarily think that anything that happens in there is totally unpredictable. It's just a great story. This is just a really fucking great story. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, is a story from this year that I absolutely fucking adore. I don't know how unpredictable it is. So I don't know. I've been hearing that phrase a lot, that it's predictable. I'm like, well, what? I need these examples for, like, what is it, And if you have them, hit me with them for sure. But there's just, yeah, I don't know. Not a ton. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on Mafia, the Old Country. Hit me in the comments down below with any thoughts you had. It's funny, I wrote these notes down. I just have like these like few notes that I jotted down. Did not fucking look at this shit one time, so I'm like looking through now. Is there anything that I forgot? I'm sure there's so much shit that I forgot to talk about, but yeah, I don't know. I like this kind of conversation. It just feels more fun. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Mafia, the Old Country. And also, Apologize. The gameplay that I'll have running. It's my favorite moment from the game, and so I had to capture that moment. The big, set piece, Uncharted feeling fight. It's we talked about it a little bit. You're chasing down the sniper and jumping through the building, and then it's this cool badass set piece, and you're not able to finally execute whenever time comes. Luca. It's the moment where Luca saves your life, but I had to capture that full clip. I just love that little section of the game. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, damn, I should be running the end of the game, but I didn't really have any intention on doing like a spoiler review for this, so I didn't, I didn't record gameplay for the end of the game, because I don't typically do spoiler reviews, but it's just so much that I want to talk about in regards to the end of the Old Country. I was like, I gotta get in here and ramble my thoughts away on this shit. So what I'm going to do going forward for games that are really story heavy, I'll make sure to record like the final moments of those games. That way that, I can have some spoiler in-game footage to show, to run as we're sort of talking about the end of the game. But yeah, there you have it. My thoughts on Mafia, the Old Country. Appreciate y'all so very much for tuning in, and I shall see you good people in the next video. I think this will go up. This will be up on a Saturday, I believe. Collect, Beat, Repeat will be up on Sunday, so make sure to tune into that. And I'll link to my Mafia ranking, games ranking, and my spoiler-free review in case. Well, I guess I hope you wouldn't get to the end of this video and be like, yeah, I could go for a spoiler-free review. But even if you are somebody who, has finished the game and you want to hear thoughts on gameplay and stuff like that, check out that spoiler-free video, hour long, diving into everything. Appreciate you guys, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.